Vus'muzi Phakathi. I'm a poet, and yeah, I've been doing poetry for 12 years now. I've been working as a poet for 12 years now. So it started in 2015, but 2005 rather. 2005. This is the time when I started performing. But I started writing, I think, 2002. I was still in high school. I think I was in grade 11. There's a girl I liked. I really liked. I thought I loved her. So I had to find means of getting the girl. The only thing I could think of was poetry, because I liked Shakespeare, and I liked the most especially Romeo and Juliet, and how Romeo managed to get Juliet with poetry, you know. So I figured, this is what I'm going to use, and this is what I worked on. So I stole a few lines here, a few lines there, put together the poem, and I wrote a lot of poems. I started even writing my own without stealing any line. So this is 2002. I never got the girl. That was that. Managed to go to tertiary. First year, this is 2004, I'm walking down the Matrix at Wits. There's an amphitheater there. There's a guy by the name of Flo Mokale. He's on stage, he's performing, and fire in the bones. Fire in the bones, girls. Ngezwa nje igazi lisha lapho kuba umlilo nje ngithi hayibo kwenzakalani manje. And at that moment, that's when I decided that this here is what I want to do with my life. This is how I want to make people feel. This is the work that I want to do in the world. But I was studying law at the time. So I spent the whole of 2004 looking for flow or places where I could perform. I couldn't find any. I remember going to Newtown, asking around, like, I heard that this is where poetry happens. No one knew. And then in 2015, it was Lebu Mashila's 2005. My goodness, it's so long ago. It's so long ago. So in 2005, it's Lebu Mashila's launch. It's June. I think it was June 18 or something. It's June. I found out, I think on radio or something, that Lebu is launching. I'd not met Lebu before. I'd only heard of Lebu Mashila. I didn't know her work, but I figured, here's a poetry space. Let me go there. I get there, I'm on the queue. So at the queue, in front of me, Konale Outwebiza o Albert Mkoma. I didn't know him then. So Albert is standing in front of me, and there's a guy that passes, and that was Flo. I lost my mind. It's like, whoa, here's this guy, here's this guy, here's this guy. So Flo passes. As Flo passes, Albert says, yo, Flo, how you doing, bro? Flo's like, no, I'm grand, man. I haven't seen you at my shows. I'm like, my shows? Flo, when do the shows happen? I know every Tuesday right here. I was like, yes, got it. So I captured that. The show happened. Flo was one of the opening acts. He killed. It was amazing. Kojo Bafo was performing that day. Kabumu was performing, and Lebu closed the thing with her launch. Next Tuesday, I was there. And man, like it became my church. After every Tuesday, I could not wait for the next Tuesday. That I could not wait. So I get there, the first time I get there, I meet Flo at the door, and he says, do you want to be, because I'm trying to play it cool, I'm a crazy groupie here, but trying to play it cool, I'm trying by all means. He says, do you want to be on the open mic? I'm like, what's an open mic? And you'll be performing before the main acts. I'm like, I'd love that. What, your name? Like, Vusi. Do you want me to put Vusi on my book here, and you'll call yourself Vusi on stage? Don't you have a stage name? I thought, Romeo. Yeah. He's like, Romeo the poet. I'm like, yes. Bow! That's the one. Yeah. And that's how the name came about. And I was Romeo the poet from then on. I was Romeo the poet every Tuesday, I never missed a day. I remember there's times when he even called me on stage with Flo to even host with him. So he had a character called Hustle, all right? And this one time he called me on stage and to be his Robin. And I then went by the name of the Little Hustle. So then that's when even my other character, Lil Hustle, came about. So there was Romeo the Poet then, there was Lil Hustle then. and I would host sometimes, and he basically trained me, you know. So that's what happened in 2005, and I kept performing, man, for quite a number of years, and I think towards the end of 2005, no, in 2006, I got my first paying gig. I got booked by Z Kube for the Urban Voices, and I got paid 1,000 rands for poetry. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I got a whole 1,000 rands for poetry. So I'm studying at Wits, right? And I was from like, my family was not doing well. So there's times when I'd get like 200 rands a month from home. So to get 1,000 rands to do 10 minutes of poems of what I love, lost my mind. That was amazing. So that was it, first paying gig. And so gigs then started coming from then on. I was together with a crew called Tower of Thought at the time. Amazing guys. And we performed all around Johannesburg, Pretoria. And there's a time when I stopped for a bit. I started tutoring. I remember I was tutoring at my old high school. And then from there, I got some good paying gigs that paid better than the poetry. I was homeschooling some kids in Centurion. So at that year, I think this was 2008. This is the year where I sort of took a gap. In 2009, I got my child, my beautiful Amethyst. Got my daughter in 2009, and the idea now of going back to poetry was a bit difficult because just being away for a year was a problem. Because now there were other people who were getting the sort of gigs that I was getting. And even 1,000 rands a gig was not so much anymore. I have a child. I've got nappies to buy, you know. So I continued with the tutoring thing. I tried to start other businesses. But the poetry called me back. My perspective of myself currently, it has not been an easy journey. It has not. I would be lying if I'd say it has. I've had like very high peaks and like very low, what's the word? Valleys. Let's go with the valleys. So I think what the experience did for me was to put me at a place where I can be able to share my experiences and help others with their experiences, you know? So the idea I have of myself right now is, I think this is a very difficult question, yo. It's a very difficult question. I would like to think of myself as a shepherd, you know? I'd like to think of myself as a shepherd. I found myself doing things that many have not done, not because they did not have the capacity to do them, but because I don't know their reasons. But for instance, right now I'll be doing the show 12 Years a Poet, and I'll be doing it in a 1,000-sitter. But this is not the first time I'll be doing a 1,000-sitter. I did a 1,000-sitter in 2013, the Vets Great Hall. And I think we had an audience of about 800 or so. And my thing at the time was, comedy is at a point where having a show in a 1,000-sitter is standard. It's a standard thing. Trevor even took it to a 20,000-sitter, you know? But poetry is not there. Why is poetry not there? Comedy is at a point where comics are getting endorsements left, right, and center. Poetry is not there, you know. And when you look at the relationships that comics and poets have, there's a great relationship happening in Durban, actually, where they even come together sometimes to have a poets versus comics soccer match. You know, beautiful things. But you find, say, for instance, Mkolisi Mchali started out with Ushembe, right? They started out together. But Ushembe now is doing 1,000-sitters everywhere. Mkolisi is running a very amazing poetry scene in Durban with Poet in the Suit, but they run in a like 250 seater. It sells out, but it's not where comedy is at, you know. So we sort of the comics and the Poet sort of started out at the same place, but comedy went way further than where poetry is. So I feel we need people to just break out and jump into the deep end, you know? So things like that, having to jump into the deep end with something like that. We run a poetry program as Current Set of Poetry at the Joburg Theatre, in partnership with the Joburg Theatre Youth Development, where we train poets in writing, performance, and art administration. We've created affiliations across the entire country with major poetry houses in every country to say, let's somewhat do the same thing and help the poets out in writing, performance, but most importantly, business, as far as poetry is concerned. And mid-year, around June, we have provincial slams in each and every province. Then towards the end of the year, the poets that won come together for a national slam. Then we take the poets to the World Slam or the World Cup of Poetry in France. You know, the World Slam is in the United States. So these are the things that we've been doing. So I would like to think of myself as a shepherd, you know. It's a strange thing to speak of yourself as being great. It's a very, because it feels quite vain. I'm feeling very vain right now. It feels quite vain, but if I am to put it, if I were to put a word to it, yeah, I'm one who's to say, let me go look at how that land is there, so we can all go and eat, you know. And I've been finding myself doing that at times, even against my own will. There's just a need to do it. Because I did that show in 2013. It's 2017 now. It's 4 years later. There's still no one who has done it. So I'm thinking, then let me go do it. And if I fail, I can come back and say to everyone, yo, we failed there, but these are the giants that are there, and this is how we can take them down. Let's move further, you know? So we started Current Set of Poetry years ago, in 2011. At the baseline. We're having shows at the baseline. And the idea behind it was, how about we have a lineup of just 3 poets, no open mic, no nothing, just 3 poets who've been making moves in the scene, and bring together their different following. So if you come with yours, I come with mine, he comes with his. At the end of that, you are being followed by our people as well. So how about we do a show like that? So we said, istokfela sama-poets, yabo. Since istokfela kodwa imali yethu abantu bethu, yabo. Yeah, so our followers are what we are stokfeling. We started doing that in 2011. We had a few shows at the baseline, but personal things came in the way, and I then decided, like, no, I'm just going to focus on myself. So I put a halt on Current Set of Poetry as an everyone's movement. So it was just producing my shows. Then we brought it back in 2014. 2014, after I came back from the World Slam. So I get to the World Slam when Amandi, and it's called the World Individual World Poetry Slam. There was 96 poets there competing. I was the only international poet. There were a few others who originally from somewhere in Africa, but have been in America for the longest time. Yeah, bo? So I saw that. I saw the scene. I saw how big the scene is. I saw how far it has advanced, and I thought South Africa is somewhat even ahead of that scene there. How about I then come back home and take this space that we have to the next level? How about we now train our poets to write better, to perform better, but to understand the business of poetry? Because I had a hard time in the States, and I had a hard time in the States. I forced to go There was no money for me to go. I forced to go. I got there, I had no place to sleep. Hey, I'll tell you the story another day, G. Hey, G. It was too real. It was too real. The first time I performed the first round, I was hungry and cold. It was real, you know? So, so when I came, I was like, I don't want this to happen to anyone else. So we then got a deal with the Joburg Theatre Youth Development, where they pay for everything. When Ashley Makue went to the Woman of the World Poetry Slam, it was in Texas. She got a stipend, she got accommodation, she got travel, you know. Uzewande BK Pengu went to France. He even got a car to travel with there, you know. So their experiences were much better than my experience. So my thing was, okay, one, we need to make the experiences better when our poets come here. Two, our poets there need to understand how brutal things are here. So even our slams were structured in their format. So they have like a 4-round format. Our slams are structured in that form. Let's prepare you for the world, as it were. So that's what we did, which then became the basis of Current State of Poetry when it came back to say let's take South African poetry to the world, but let's take it at its best. And when these poets come back there, they should know how to use whatever experience they had to make money out of it. You know, we have a lot of poets who have very heavy profiles. We were speaking about this with a friend of mine, but we'd struggle to pay rent. That can't be happening. I can't have a heavy profile and struggle to pay rent. And I stand on stages and I change people's lives, but I struggle to pay rent. That cannot be happening. But I need to understand the business behind it, you know. So the basis was that let's take poetry to the world, let's train our poets, and let's have them be able to eat out of the art. Then we went around the country then to communicate with a different poetry scene in the country, in every province. Became that, and now it's growing, and now it's growing. It could be better. We realized that it would be much better with corporates on board. How we then looked at our slams, because our slams are fun. Man, our slams are lit. You need to attend. Our slams. So we managed to bring in More Fire last year, because DJ Spoo's More Fire as a corporate sponsor, right? And we roped in Wimpy at some point as well with their Wimpy Burger. What we realize is now we need to then rope in corporates. But for that to happen, we need to have large numbers. We need to prove. This is why we're here, Skipani. We got numbers galore. Numbers galore. So, yeah, it's now bringing in, the whole idea is to bring in corporates so we can grow properly. That way, we will have even grander marketing budgets. We can have a great following, and we can say, now it's huge. Not yet. I've had quite a number. I've had a Second with God, which ran in 2011. I then had the Battle of the Ages, one-man Grand Slam, and then I had the OMG Slam. Then now I'm having 12 Years a Poet. So I've had a number of one-man shows. There's a time where I did a national tour. I even went to like the neighboring countries. I did a double bill. So I was doing a Second with God and the OMG, the Battle of the Ages Slam, poetry slam, one-man poetry slam. So I took that across the country, neighboring countries, and whatnot. So when it comes to this one now, I'm looking at all the work that has happened along the years. I'm looking from 2005 when I first saw Flow to now, from buying a Jeep of poetry to being kicked out of a place where I'm only paying 2.5 a month because I can't pay rent, you know, to being 2 months behind my daughter's school fees. You know what I mean? I'm looking at at all those experiences of the good times and the worst, and what led to the worst, and how did I get out, or how am I even getting out? Because I'm not even like fully out, I'm not even fully out. I think I'd be fully out when I'm driving a G-Wagon, but that's another story. So, 12 Years a Poet now looks into that. It looks into my entire experience, and how I managed to stay, because I could have left. I've had many opportunities where I could have left. I've had like great job opportunities where I could have left. Now there's a company that once offered me a job as a candidate attorney, and they were going to pay for my fees to finish off and whatnot. Now they just bought 80 tickets to 12 Years a Poet. You know what I mean? So I could have left, but I stayed through the hardship. So I've just then been looking at purpose, at when there's a time when I felt like I was a slave to the purpose, and my life was working out like that of a slave, until such a point where I realized that when my purpose served me is when I understood that I was a servant to it. So that shift actually happened not so long ago, manje, as I was working towards 12 Years a Poet, where I realized, as a servant to it, it will serve me, and how it has served me when Amandisa. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. So I'm in this show, I'm looking at that the focus of it is purpose, is living in purpose, being a servant to it, and it then in turn serving you. There's a time when we went to a mission in Limpopo, and a lot of things happened there, and that's when I made a decision that I wanted to be a preacher, I wanted to be a pastor, right? But then I realized that my calling is to the people. And the people that have heard my work are not only Christians, It's people of like different religions or different ideas of spirituality and whatnot. And I've had different kinds of people attending my shows and then coming back and saying, I'm an atheist, but so in deciding to now go pastor. I don't know if that's the correct word, but to minister to the world. The idea was now to sort of broaden it and just take it out of the Christian space, but still be able to minister. Because the whole point, I'm still a Christian, right? And in my understanding of Christianity and my fellowship with Christ is that his thing has always been, do you believe? So every time he healed someone, he'd ask them if they believe they're healed. His teaching had always been self-knowledge, from even just when he was asked about the greatest commandment, and he gave two, says, love the Lord your God, all of your heart, all of your mind, all of your soul, but love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And so for me, that the as you love yourself has been my stronghold. That now I need to understand the loving of self, but I need to understand who self is. Once I have a grand understanding of self, then I can love the other in the right kind of way, because I'm loving myself right. And when I love the other in the right kind of way, then this is how I am loving God, So I cannot love, there's no way I would love God without knowing who I am. You know what I mean? So it has been ministry. That's what my work.
You done heard a brother right there who sang with everything he got. My brother, I understand you, my brother. My brother's with me. My brother knows what Little House is talking about. Because you got to understand that in the indigenous language, A says Zolo. Yeah, A says Zolo. Yeah, there's a powerful saying that goes, Obosha bendoda in Como zake. Now, for those who ain't inclined with the indigenous language, A say Zolo. What this simply means is that if you is a poor man, you is an ugly man. Oh yeah, that's what they Zolo say. That's what they Zolo say.